Just before we get to the video, I don't know if you watched my video predicting what's gonna happen during G7, but my prediction was that Carney won't accomplish anything and that he actually is going to promise more money to Israel and Ukraine. 3 days ago, I saw the news. Over $4 billion to Ukraine. When we have a crisis here, housing crisis, food price crisis, gas is going up again, and yet we're not forced. But whose money is that? It's taxpayers' money, right? We are forced to pay taxes. And the reasoning behind it, it's for the country, right? To have a better infrastructure, whatever is it, better highways, to maintain the parks, all of that stuff, right? And yet government decides to send this money to Ukraine. To me, that's a fraud. That's a treason. You took our money that were supposed to go to Canada to improve or to maintain our life quality, and you just send it somewhere else while we are suffering. Like, we are in real crisis over here. Like, I just went to Walmart and part of the parking lot just turned into the trailer park. Originally I thought, okay, it's the people who work in this area, so maybe they don't want to commute, so they just park their trailer right here, right? Well, that was 3 months ago, and there's more and more trailers right now. And I'm not complaining about the people in trailers. I'm complaining about government, because this is ridiculous. This is so sad. And yet, we're still sending money to Ukraine. $4 billion to Ukraine, instead of sending some aid to the people who can't afford the rent, can't afford the groceries. What are we doing? What are you doing, Mark Carney? That's not why people elected you. I bet this must be bad even for liberal voters. Like, come on. You want to tell me that majority of Canada, well, they don't have majority government, right? It's just minority, but still over 50% of all the voters voted for Carney. So you want to tell me that this amount of people have a great lives? I don't think so. I don't believe it. I think they got bamboozled again. Anyway, let's talk about G7. Let's see what Rebel News has to say about that.
Nostalgia isn't a strategy. We have to change with the times and to build a better world. And some of you, such as you, Mr. President, have anticipated these massive changes and are taking bold measures to address them. All of us around this table are reinforcing our militaries.
Oh, let's go. These brownie points again. Look what's on his nose. Oh, I guess they had to delete that because it was too brown from how he's climbing up to Donald Trump's ass. Is this why you elected him, liberals? To be not even friendly with Donald Trump? He's literally just... Oh my God. It's ridiculous, man.
And security services for the new world. But we all know that there can be no security without economic prosperity. And no prosperity without resilience. And in a world where shocks flow across the borders, that...
I'm sorry for pausing. It's just so funny that he's talking about economic prosperity. Well, Canadian Prime Minister is talking about economic prosperity when he's just running it down to the ground when we're literally the worst country in G7. And it doesn't look like he has any plan to make it better. He's been in power for what? 4 or 5 months now? And I'm not talking about after election. I'm talking about the whole time when he took over the office. Did anything get better here? It's just getting worse and worse. He's gonna talk about economic prosperity, man.
That resilience comes from cooperation. Cooperation that starts around this table. Cooperation that can lead to a new era of prosperity, energy security and critical minerals, artificial intelligence, quantum, combating human smuggling and transnational repression.
Okay, so I said this a couple of times before. Mark Carney behaves differently when he's in Canada. Sorry, I have to change the lighting over here. He behaves differently when he's in Canada and differently when he's in the US. And in this case, I bet that he felt like, okay, I'm between all France, US, Japan, all of this, right? So he behaved obviously different than when he's dealing with us Canadians. Again, he's talking about the minerals when he refuses to revoke the Bill C-69. So we can't build any more coal mines. And let's talk about it. Some of you don't realize how coal is important. Let's say in British Columbia, Elk Valley, something like, what is it? The area around Sparwood. They're mining steel, making coal. Steel is literally almost in everything over here. So we have resources, or we have potential. We have resources in the ground that we can literally mine, make money of it, and it's like the demand for it is so high, but he's refusing to use it. And yet here, with all of these presidents, he's gonna talk about, I forgot what he said specifically. Let's play it again.
Quantum, combating human smuggling and transnational that starts around this table. Cooperation that can lead to a new era of prosperity, energy security and critical minerals, artificial
energy security, that's one of the things. When we have oil and gas that he doesn't allow us to, I don't know what's word for it. Is it mining? I don't think so. It's fracking and stuff like that, right? But he doesn't allow us to create a new pipelines. I know he's planning to build a new one, but we still have Bill C-69, so no one really knows how it's gonna go. But yeah, critical minerals. Isn't steel making coal kind of critical mineral, since you create steel thanks to this, and steel is everywhere? Cars, building industry, everything, literally. Steel is literally everywhere. So yeah, it just sounds ridiculous, but yeah, let's move on.
Artificial intelligence, quantum, combating human smuggling and transnational repression.
Sheila Gunn-Reid for Rebel News, and I'm here at the ground at the G7 Summit in Banff, Alberta. You can follow all of our coverage and support our independent journalism at g7reports.com. But let me give you the real headline: the legacy media won't touch today.
Oh, of course
Mark
they won't.
Carney just made every Liberal voter look like an absolute chump. Now, you don't have to hate Donald Trump to see how badly Liberal voters just got played. Now, I like Trump, let me be clear. I think a lot...
Exactly. I love Trump. He's doing everything he can for US citizens to have better life. And that's something we need in Canada. We need someone like Trump. I understand that for everyone else other than American, it's not good. But you want a president who takes your own interests as his main priority. And not only your own interests, but your country, right? So yeah, we can complain about tariffs, like me living in Canada, obviously. It's not good for Canada, right? But if you see why Trump is doing it, I have no complaints about that. And we need someone like this. And talking about the situation in Canada, I mentioned it before, I'm going to say it again. President Trump is just the tip of the iceberg. The issue is what we faced this past 10 years. Like, everything started getting more expensive about, 4 years ago? And the prices never went down again? Was President Trump in power back then? No. Was he in power for last 5 years? No. So how do you want to blame President Trump for what's going on in Canada? How do you want to blame him for Vancouver and people just shooting drugs on the street and tent cities and all of it? How do you want to blame President Trump for that? How do you want to blame him for the housing crisis? How do you want to blame him for the grocery prices right now? How do you want to blame him for high taxes? Really? It's not President Trump. And again, liberal voters just got bamboozled. You heard that Mark Carney is going to fight him over the tariffs. The tariffs didn't even touch you. You didn't even feel them back then. And you voted for some crazy promise. And look, Mark Carney wasn't even able to follow on that promise.
A lot of Canadians do, but Mark Carney didn't run in the last election on liking Trump. In fact, he did the exact opposite.
Exactly.
Carney built his whole campaign on sneering at Trump. He positioned himself as the polished, globe-trotting adult who would put Canada on a sophisticated post-American path. He told liberal voters, the CBC crowd, the university wine moms, the Davos dads, that Canada under his rule would be done with Trump's America. Remember this?
We will need to ensure that Canada can succeed in a drastically different world. The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperation, is over.
President Trump.
I was expecting that he's going to say it a little bit faster. So, yeah, that gesture was on the relationship with America, just for someone who might be a little bit sensitive to that. But yeah, the relationship is over. And you know what? The rhetoric, I understand why people voted for him because of, well, I don't understand, but I understand that people got bamboozled, especially when Pierre Poilievre was talking less about President Trump, but more about how we're going to get out of this crisis. And unfortunately, people were just watching headlines and thought that Mark Carney is going to be something different than Justin Trudeau, right? And they just saw something flashy and saw him talking about it, and they paid attention to it. And unfortunately, that's not an issue only with Canadians. I don't want to be too hard on Canadians. Like, even in my own country, Czech Republic, when the elections come, people vote based on the quotes they heard or billboards they saw. They don't do their own research, unfortunately. So it's not the issue just with Canada. But after 10 years with Liberals, I would still hope that you're going to vote for change and do your research before you vote. And unfortunately, that's not what happened.
He's clear about his strategy. His strategy is to break us so that America can own us.
Nope.
You know, we are over as a country. We are over the shock of the betrayal. But we should never forget the lessons. Never forget the lessons. That's right. That's right.
That's right.
We have to look out. We have to look out for ourselves. We have to look out for ourselves, and we have to take care of.
We have to look out for ourselves. Let's send $4 billion to Ukraine.
Each other. We didn't ask for this fight. We didn't ask for this fight, but Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. Elbows up. Elbows up.
Oh my God.
And in this trade war, just like in hockey, we will win.
Elbows up, he said. No more getting pushed around by Washington. He practically promised to ghost our largest trading partner if Canadians sent Carney to the Prime Minister's office. And that sold. It worked. Let's be honest.
Well, he couldn't run on let's go on our knees, right? Because that's exactly what he's doing right now, man.
Honest. Every liberal who needed one more excuse to feel morally superior to the Americans bought it wholesale. Carney offered them a vintage bottle of anti-American smugness, and they drank it down every single drop. Now, at the G7, Carney greets Trump in Kananaskis like Justin Trudeau at a Taylor Swift concert. Wide-eyed, grinning, barely holding in the urge to ask for a selfie. Mr. President, he beams. Welcome to Canada. You could practically hear his inner monologue. Do I bow? Do I curtsy? Does this tie make me look president?
I wonder if he practiced it in front of the mirror right before the meeting. Like, how do I look? Oh, you look sexy, Mark. Yeah. Oh, I'm ready for Donald. Yeah. I wonder if that's what he did, because definitely the shot I saw, yeah, he looked like a fangirl, man.
Presidential.
Welcome to Canada. Thank you. It's a great honor. Happy birthday. A few days short. A few days short, but didn't have a chance to see you on the day. Happy birthday to the U.S. military as well, 250th, and this is the 50th birthday, if you will, of the G7. This marks the 50th birthday of the G7, and the G7 is nothing without U.S. leadership, and your personal leadership of the United States. Many issues. Geopolitics, economic, technology, and working hand in hand with the United States, Canada and the United States, and the other G7 partners with your leadership. Very much looking forward to the meeting and grateful to have you.
Very much.
And while Trump...
Really, like watching this, did he run on elbows up or get on your knees? Like...
went off script the way Trump always does, dumping on Canada's past leaders, mocking the decision to kick Russia out of the G8. Carney just stood there, grinning, nodding, no sign of that elbows up energy in sight.
And we've developed a very good relationship, and we're going to be talking about trade and many other things. And we have a whole group of people, some traders and some other people. I see my top economy people. But we have a very talented group of people, and you do too, and I know they work together very well. I look forward to that. The G7 used to be the G8. Barack Obama and a person named Trudeau didn't want to have Russia in, and I would say that was a mistake, because I think you wouldn't have a war right now if you had Russia in, and you wouldn't have a war right now if Trump were president 4 years ago, but it didn't work out that way. But it used to be the G8.
Is this a true? Well, definitely. If President Trump won in 2021, I don't think there would be any war in Ukraine. That's true for sure. But at the same time, I think by now we would already have another war. But if it was still G8, I think the chances of Russia not invading Ukraine would be definitely higher if they still remained in G8, if they still remained in the loop. Because I kind of see Russia's point, why they feel threatened. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with them invading, and I think it's their own fault if they feel threatened. But at the same time, like, do you really think the relationships were friendly between Europe and Russia? I don't think so. And being a part of G8, I think the relationship would be much better, for sure. And again, don't get me wrong, the relationship is Russia's own fault.
And now it's, I guess, what's that, 8 years ago, it switched over. They threw Russia out, which I claimed was a very big mistake. Even though I wasn't in politics then, I was very loud about it. It was a mistake in that you spend so much time talking about Russia, and he's no longer at the table, so it makes life more complicated. But you wouldn't have had the war. Other than that, I think we're going to accomplish a lot, and I expect to. And I think our primary focus will be trade and trade with Canada, and I'm sure we can work something out. Yep.
Now, this is the same man who told you our relationship with the U.S. was over as we knew it, that Canada needed to chart a new path, that Trump was a threat to multilateralism and Canadian values. But when the cameras came on and Air Force One touched down, Carney went soft, real soft.
Nostalgia isn't a strategy. We have to change with the times and to build a better world. And some of you, such as you, Mr. President, have anticipated these massive changes and are taking bold measures to address them. All of us around this table are reinforcing our militaries and security services for the new world. But we all know that there can be no security without economic prosperity, and no prosperity without resilience. And in a world where shocks flow across the borders, that resilience comes from cooperation that starts around this table, cooperation that can lead to a new era of prosperity, energy security and critical minerals, artificial intelligence, quantum, combating human smuggling and transnational repression.
And if you're a Liberal voter who picked Carney because you thought he would stand up to Trump, oh, you should feel embarrassed right now because he flipped on you hard. He didn't just drop the elbows, he dropped the act completely. But this is what
he dropped to the floor. He dropped on his knees and got some of these brownie points. So, no, really, like if you want to run on something like elbows up, I think it's fair to compare it that right now it's more like on your knees than elbows up. I don't want to sexualize it or anything. And again, I'm talking about brownie points, okay? I'm talking about him climbing as much as he can. It's ridiculous.
Liberal politicians always do. They posture for the voters and they fold for the cameras. They have zero principles. Now, I like that Trump is in Alberta. I think it's good for Western Canada to be taken seriously. But what I can't stand is the hypocrisy. Carney ran on elbows up and he delivered you knees bent. If you voted for him because you thought he'd defy Trump, it turns out the only thing he defied was you. For Rebel News, here in Banff outside the Media Centre for the G7, I am Sheila Gunn Reid.